Now let's turn our attention to the TCP UDP port numbers that you need to be aware of when you go to take your A+ exam. Now we talked about TCP and UDP and what these protocols are and what they do in a video entitled TCP/UDP. So if you haven't seen that video yet and you're not sure about TCP and UDP, go watch that video. Now there are some common TCP UDP port numbers you need to know. Now some of you may be thinking, well, wait a minute, how do I choose which one of these I want to use, TCP or UDP, and how do I choose the port number? Well, the TCP and UDP will be chosen for you. This is at the application layer of the OSI model, and that's going to be decided in the way your application is written. So your application developer is going to take care of this, or somebody else is, a little deeper than that, but there's not a switch that you're really going to use to do this. You can specify the port number, but most of the time that's taken care of as well. Now let's first of all look at this list and then we'll talk about them. FTP, if you're using the FTP protocol, that's going to utilize port 20 and 21. All right. Port 23 is going to be used by Telnet. Port 25 is for SMTP, the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. This is how mail is sent from one server to another out on the internet. Port 80 is HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This is exactly what happens when you type a URL into a website. You go out there and you type vtc.com, and as long as it's not encrypted, you're traveling over port 80 to the other machine. Or when you hit the other machine, you hit the web server, you're going in through port 80. Port 110 is for the POP3, the Post Office Protocol. Port 143 is for IMAP, the Internet Message Access Protocol. Port 443 is HTTPS. When I use HTTP along with Secure Socket Layer Encryption and I see HTTPS up there in the URL of my browser, at that point I'm now using port 443. And then RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol, if you've ever used that in a Windows machine, runs over port 3389. Now this also gives you a clue of what security nerds are talking about when they say, oh, we close those ports down. Think about your computer, okay? Think about a desktop computer as a warehouse, and on the back you have all these loading dock doors, okay? You've got a loading dock door 20 and 21, and that's where all the FTP stuff comes in. You have a door 23, that's where all Telnet communications comes in. You got a door 25, which were SMTP. So you see how this works. Well, for security reasons, if we have all these doors open, then people can just kind of wander in and out of our computer, right? Well, by shutting ports that we're never going to use, for example, we're not ever going to get any Telnet stuff coming in here, so let's just turn off port 23, and somebody trying to use Telnet to get into our warehouse can't even get in. We're going to just block the door up so that it won't even come up anymore. There's no door there, there's just a wall. So that's what's happening with our firewalls and your security, where you can turn off ports and you can't even accept calls for that service. All right, so anyway, that gives you a little clue as to how they're working. But the port numbers that you see here are common port numbers. Make sure you memorize the port number and the service that uses that port number, because you will be asked about these on the A+ exam. You will also, let me say this before we leave, you'll also know these and use these over and over and over again out there in the real world, working as a tech or an administrator or a security person or even a programmer.